The Queen of Virexia had been dying for centuries. Not in the way mortals understood death, but in the slow, silent way only immortals could. Her body was flawless, her mind razor-sharp, her reign uncontested across 1,000 star systems. Yet one truth poisoned every triumph. She could never have children. The oracles had declared it on the day of her ascension. The royal genome, too pure, too ancient, had reached a dead end. The blood of queens would end with her. So Queen Eryx ruled with absolute fire instead of tenderness. She conquered instead of nurturing. She built empires instead of families. And she buried that ache beneath crowns of war. Until the day the palace alarms rang not with invasion, but with arrival. Beginning, the stranger at the gates. They brought the human enchained. He was tall, scarred by hardship, wearing the dust of distant worlds on his coat. But what drew every eye in the grand hall were the two small figures walking behind him. Children. They were perhaps 5 or 6 years old. One boy with silver-veined skin and glowing blue pupils. One girl with hair like living starlight and eyes far too ancient for her tiny face. Half human. Half Virexian. Hybrid. Gasps tore through the throne chamber like explosions. The archbishop stumbled backward. The geneseers dropped their scanners. Warriors raised weapons in trembling disbelief. And on the platinum throne, Queen Eryx slowly stood. Her crown of floating crystal hummed as her psychic aura surged uncontrollably. "That is impossible," she whispered. The human lifted his head. His voice shook, but it did not break. "They're real." Silence reigned for 7 long heartbeats. Then Eryx descended the throne steps one by one. Each step felt like thunder. "What mockery is this?" she demanded. "No being across any system can bear my blood." The last man who tried died screaming. The human met her eyes. "I didn't come to challenge your law. I came because they deserve to know who they are." The children stared up at the towering alien queen without fear. The girl tilted her head. Are you our grandmother?" The sound that escaped the queen was not a scream. It was a sob. The truth that changed history. The palace was sealed within seconds. The children were taken to the sanctuary of origins. The human, named Elias Cross, was detained under psychic restraint. And the impossible tests began. Blood analysis. Quantum lineage divergence. Dimensional ancestry scanning. Legacy resonance mapping. Every test confirmed the same forbidden truth. The children carried royal Virexian genome. Not cloned. Not fabricated. Naturally born. Queen Eryx shattered the observation chamber wall when the results were confirmed. That alone would have ended a war. But the story behind the children shook the empire even deeper. Elias had been a miner on the border world Kelt 9, a forgotten planet where exiled Virexians hid among the drifting poor. He found a wounded alien woman in the ice fields after a skirmish with smugglers. He didn't know she was royalty. He only knew she was dying. He hid her. He healed her. He stayed when every instinct told him to run. Her name had been Lyrics, a lost princess, disowned centuries earlier for falling in love with humans. Lyrics believed herself sterile, just like her mother. What neither of them realized was this. The royal bloodline could not reproduce with its own kind anymore. But it could with humans. The gene block only fell when paired with humanity. And from that forbidden union, the hybrids were born. Lyrics died protecting them during a planetary purge. And Elias spent 6 years running across space to keep them alive. Until Virexian hunters finally caught them. And delivered them to a queen who never believed children could exist. The queen's struggle. Eryx could not sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the girl's starlight hair. She felt the boy's psychic pulse echo inside her own. For the first time in centuries, her mind was not alone. The children were not just heirs. They were echoes of her. The Grand Council demanded immediate termination. The hybrids are a threat, the Gene Lords warned. They disprove our supremacy. The people will revolt, the military senate added. Humans brought us weakness. But Erix's voice silenced them all. They are not a threat, she said. They are the future. And with that declaration, half the empire turned against her. Danger from within. Assassination attempts began within a week. Drones disguised as medical units. Psychic assassins embedded in the nursery. Even members of the royal guard attempted to poison the children's energy field. Each time, Erix intervened personally. She burned traitors alive with thought alone. She shattered generals across dimensions. She collapsed entire noble houses into dust. The empire trembled. And the humans noticed. A human-Virexian alliance envoy arrived within days. They wanted protection. They wanted cooperation. Some wanted war. But Elias wanted only one thing. Let me take them away, he begged. Away from your throne, your wars, your enemies. Erix looked at the children laughing beside holographic stars. And for the first time in her reign, she felt fear. Real, mortal fear. Not of death, but of loss. The uprising. The coup came at dawn. The originalists, pureblood extremists, detonated seismic charges beneath the palace. The sky fractured into fire. Gravity fields collapsed. Defense arrays died in silence. Thousands stormed the throne sector. Their goal was simple. Kill the hybrids. Elias grabbed the children and ran through burning corridors as glass and bodies fell around them. Royal guards died shielding their escape. And on the throne platform above, Queen Erix stood alone against an army of her own people. You betrayed eternity, the rebel leader screamed. Erix raised one hand and erased him from existence. The battle lasted 6 minutes. When it ended, 2/3 of the palace lay in ruins. But the children lived. Still, Elias was gravely wounded. And as the hybrid girl pressed small glowing hands against his bleeding chest, something awakening inside her pulsed. Light erupted. Genes rewrote themselves mid-air. Flesh regenerated. Bones restored. Elias gasped as life flooded back into him. The healers fell to their knees. She's not just royal, one whispered. She's a living gene forge. The children weren't only heirs. They were living creators of the future species. Ending, a new bloodline. The empire fractured after the uprising. Systems chose sides. Some followed tradition. Others followed the new blood. Civil war threatened to consume entire galaxies. So Queen Erix made the most dangerous decision of her reign. She abdicated. She transferred the throne of eternity to a new regency council until the children came of age. And she left with them. Not as a queen, but as a grandmother. They traveled beyond empire space to a living world neither human nor Virexian had ever ruled. There, beneath twin suns and living seas, a new civilization began. Hybrid children were born in the thousands. The gene lock shattered forever. And centuries later, historians would call that day the end of the dying bloodline. Final scene. Years later, on a quiet cliff overlooking silver oceans, young Prince Kael asked the question that changed everything. Grandmother, were you lonely before us? Queen Erix looked at the stars. And for the first time since before her ascension, she smiled. Every second, until you arrived.